When you first go through an awakening, your life changes very much. Spiritual awakening, when that happens, your life as you know it falls apart. You realize for the first time what it means not being who you thought you were. But you are probably still confused in many things. One of the first things that comes into play is realizing that you are not your thoughts. You are not the thoughts that come like invading you all around all of the time. You are not the emotions that you experience. You are the one who experiences the emotions, right? And then you'll see that all of the things that you've done throughout your life are part of a construction, of a conditioning where you didn't really have much saying, but you do have a lot of attachment for it. And the awakening is the unknown. The awakening is being comfortable, being really uncomfortable, because everything, the veil, is just being dismantled. You start realizing that you are one with everything, and that whatever you do affects what you see outside, because you are creating that experience that you see outside for you in your own timeline. When I say creating, is whatever you are putting out that you don't want to heal, now it's truly evident, and there's no truly coming back to the matrix, to the 3D. And when I say matrix just now, I mean your old life as somebody who was still asleep. Your spiritual awakening might have many different stages. Sometimes it's truly radical and transformative, and sometimes it's just something that keeps on gradually expanding. And when it comes as a shock at first, it's really transformative, but it takes courage. And that courage, that staying in the unknown, knowing that something greater is within you than the construction of your persona, starts a different timeline for you. So beyond all of that, collectives, soul groups are resonating with the same type of awakening and the same type of frequency, same type of codes, same types of transformational presence. You realize that you're only in the now, and your now is the only thing that matters. When you become present, there's nothing more important than being present, because in presence you'll start listening to your soul's guidance, to your soul's intuition, to your soul's blueprint. When I say blueprint, it means by following your heart, by listening to the subtle guidance of your intuition, you'll start living more aligned with who you truly are. You're not pretending, you're here. And that's when you start validating yourself instead of looking for external validation. When you're comfortable in your essence, when you're comfortable in yourself, there's nothing outside that is more important, because what you see outside, and here's a beautiful paradox, what you see outside is a reflection of your inner state. We know that, but now if you are accessing your true power, your true self, if you're still knowing you're not your mind and your thoughts and your feelings, and you listen to the guidance, then you're validating yourself. You're not trying to accomplish something externally or pushing to accomplish something externally. You are just living in accordance to your heart and your soul in that space. And that space will align with your soul's purpose. You'll discover by being, by doing, and you're validating yourself. When you validate yourself, automatically you don't need external validation, and you'll find that it was always an inner game. You are, and that's it. Now I want to talk a little bit about the 5D and what it means. So when we understand in our embodiment, in our experience, that we are not our thoughts, we are not our emotions, but we do experience them, we also experience energy around that. Sometimes it's so turbulent. But there's something that is unmovable, and it's the essence. That something is connected with your heart. Then you only look at life through the lens of compassion, self-love, presence, gratitude, love for everything, connection, trust, intuition, acceptance of what is, surrendering to the present moment. That is not bypassing, that is not trying to escape. It's acceptance. So with my acceptance, I can start living and flowing, and that's how everything is being taken care of, because you're actually present with it. It's not a mental construction, it's not an idea in your head. 5D consciousness comes when you stabilize your presence, when you remain observant of your old structures, your old conditioning, your old persona, and see what happens in autopilot, but with you being aware of it. What once was unconscious, now you're bringing your consciousness into. So when you stabilize many of your actions, many of your patterns, many of your ideas, you'll find that there's a space that you can access that is not conditioned. And that conditioning begins to fade, and you begin to merge with your true self. You start seeing yourself through the lens of compassion and love, and everything you do, your reactions. And you understand that things like forgiveness mean energy stored within you, in your body, that was traumatized. But that trauma is healed through the lens of awareness and compassion, because you understand that all of that was mostly affecting your construction of a person, which is true if you are still asleep. But when you wake up, you realize that you can let go of that and observe things differently. And the release of that energy that was trapped allows instant healing. But again, it's the exercise of the awareness on your everyday life, every single moment is a teaching if you allow it to be. So when you stabilize this energy, you are able to access 5D consciousness. I know many people will say, okay, 5D is non-physical, you cannot access 5D, and I hear you. What I mean when I say 5D is the power of operating in presence, as I was saying before, through the lens of neutrality, self-love, compassion, love, joy, and sustaining a frequency that is beyond what you have been used to sustaining because of the lack of awareness that was reigning your life before. But awareness and love and presence and knowing that everything is a teaching, whatever you experience, and instead of taking that personally, acknowledging that and releasing that energy will allow the flow. It's a frequency where you're not concerned about your construction of a person and its problems, its pains, its ideals, its goals. You can still access that, but you'll notice the difference between things that you were forcing and probably weren't even coming from you, probably things you heard as a kid, things that you are carrying from other lifetimes, and your soul path, which is again from that space of love. You'll start living from that space, and this becomes truly unimportant. At least the things that were not in alignment with your soul, the things that were hurting you, will dissipate. But the strong core of your being, that's your blueprint, and that remains. And that is most beautiful. So, stabilizing in presence after your spiritual awakening will allow fifth dimensional consciousness, which is the consciousness of, again, heaven on earth. And why it sounds so difficult to understand is because the mind is not able to access 5D. It will only say something against it. But your heart, it does. Hope that is helpful, and hope that gives you some momentum to follow your heart, to access the power, your full power. I love you so much, and I'll see you in the next one.